On a gray March morning in 2002, a canoe was found drifting off the coast of County Durham, England. It was empty. Its owner, a 51-year-old prison officer named John Darwin, was nowhere to be found. The Coast Guard launched a search. Helicopters swept the shoreline. Divers went under. They found nothing. After days of searching, John Darwin was officially declared missing and later presumed dead. His wife Rachel wept at the memorial. His two sons, Mark and Anthony, grieved the loss of their father. Friends offered condolences. The community mourned, but John Darwin was not dead. He was very much alive, and for the next 5 years, he would live one of the most extraordinary double lives in modern criminal history. John Darwin was born in 1950 in Blackhall Colliery, a small mining town in the northeast of England. He grew up working class, ambitious, and eager to build something better than what he was born into. He trained as a prison officer and spent his career working at Holme House Prison in Stockton-on-Tees. On the surface, he was an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He married Rachel Cooper in 1973. They had 2 sons. They bought a house together in Seaton Carew, a quiet coastal town right on the edge of the North Sea. But beneath the ordinary surface, John Darwin had a serious problem: debt. He had taken out loans he could not repay. He had bought property at the wrong time. The interest was piling up and the pressure was becoming unbearable. By the early 2000s, he was facing bankruptcy. His home was at risk. His pension was insufficient. He needed a way out. And he came up with one that most people would never dare imagine. He would fake his own death, claim the life insurance, and start over somewhere no one knew his name. On the 1st of March 2002, John Darwin paddled his canoe into the North Sea from the beach at Seaton Carew. It was a cold morning. The water was rough. Anyone watching would have assumed he was just another weekend paddler. He paddled out far enough to be out of sight. Then he turned around, swam back to shore, and simply walked away. The canoe drifted on. The plan was almost shockingly simple. No elaborate disguise. No fake passport yet. No escape to another country. Not immediately. Instead, John Darwin did something that would have seemed impossible. He moved into the house next door. His wife Rachel continued to live in their family home. And John Darwin, officially dead, lived in secret, through a shared door cut between the 2 properties that he lived there for years, hiding when the sons visited, staying perfectly still when neighbors were nearby. A ghost, living 3 feet from his own family. Rachel Darwin knew everything. She was not a passive victim. She was an active participant. She claimed the life insurance payout. She managed the finances. She kept the secrets. Together, they collected over £250 in insurance and pension payouts, all while their sons grieved, not knowing their father was still alive. For 5 years, John Darwin existed in a kind of limbo, not truly living, not truly dead, trapped in the walls of his own scheme. By 2003, the Darwins began planning their next move. The life insurance money had bought them time. Now they wanted a real escape, a new life. In a new country, under a new name, John Darwin obtained a new passport, using a false identity named John Jones. He built a paper trail carefully, methodically, using loopholes, in the British passport system that existed at the time. Under his new identity, he began to travel. He visited Panama, a country with warm weather, a low cost of living, and crucially, a lenient attitude toward foreign investors looking to settle. They found land. They began building a life there, a property, a future. The plan was coming together. All they needed to do was wait a little longer and then disappear for good. In Panama, nobody knew John Jones had ever been John Darwin. He was just another British expat with money to invest. He shook hands with developers. He drank beer in the evening sun. For the first time in years, he felt free, but freedom built on lies is fragile. Cracks were beginning to appear. John Darwin was growing impatient. He wanted his real name back. He wanted his sons to know he was alive. He wanted it to be over. In November 2007, John Darwin walked into a London police station and announced to the officers on duty that he had lost his memory and that he was alive. The officers stared at him. They ran his name through the system. It came back with a single result: John Darwin, declared dead, 2002. What John Darwin did not know, what he could not have anticipated, was that even before he walked into that police station, the internet had already begun to unravel his secret. His son Mark, suspicious and grieving, had been searching the internet for any trace of his father. One evening, he stumbled across something extraordinary, a photograph posted on a Panama property website. Two people standing in front of jungle land, smiling at the camera. The man on the left was wearing a short-sleeved shirt and sunglasses. The woman on the right was his mother, and the man on the left was his father. John Darwin, alive, standing in Panama, 5 years after his supposed death at sea. The photograph was the smoking gun. It had been uploaded innocently to a real estate listing by a Panamanian developer who had no idea what he was triggering. Within days of John Darwin's appearance at the police station, journalists obtained the photo. It was published globally. The Daily Mirror ran it on their front page. The story exploded. Every news outlet in Britain ran it. Television crews camped outside Rachel Darwin's home. The public was stunned. How had someone faked their death and hidden for 5 years, right next door to his own family? Police moved quickly. Rachel Darwin was arrested at her home. John Darwin was taken into custody from the police station where he had presented himself. In interviews, John Darwin initially maintained his story about memory loss. It held for approximately 48 hours before it fell apart completely. The Panama photo was placed in front of him. He was asked to explain it. He had no explanation. The amnesia story collapsed. John Darwin admitted everything, while the media and police focused on John and Rachel Darwin. A quieter and more devastating story was unfolding. Their sons, Mark and Anthony, spent 5 years grieving a father who was never dead. Mark had attended his father's memorial. Anthony had broken down at the service. Both had rebuilt their lives around the fact that their father was gone. When the truth came out, both sons were devastated. Not only had their father been alive, their mother had known the entire time. The family they thought they had was built on a complete lie. In later interviews, Mark said he felt as though he had experienced 2 bereavements. One for a father he believed was dead, and one for the mother who had chosen deception over her own children. Both sons cut contact with their mother. As of the making of this video, that estrangement is understood to still be in place. Some damage cannot be undone. John and Rachel Darwin were charged with fraud and money laundering. The trial at Teesside Crown Court in 2008 drew national attention. Cameras were not permitted inside, but reporters filled the press gallery. Rachel Darwin pleaded not guilty, claiming she had acted under pressure and duress from her husband. The jury did not believe her. She was found guilty on all charges. John Darwin pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in prison. Rachel received 6 years and 6 months. Both sentences were later reduced on appeal. John Darwin was released from prison in 2011. Rachel followed shortly after. They subsequently divorced. The extraordinary partnership that had kept the secret for 5 years did not survive the truth. After his release, John Darwin returned to the public eye briefly, writing a memoir, giving interviews. He even moved to the Philippines, where he remarried. Rachel Darwin also rebuilt. She moved abroad. She wrote her own account of events. She maintained, to varying degrees, that she had been a victim of her husband's plan. Their sons never forgave them. The money was gone, clawed back by authorities. The houses were sold. The insurance companies recovered what they could. The case of John Darwin is remarkable, not because it was brilliantly executed. In fact, the opposite is true. It worked for as long as it did because of simplicity, and it collapsed because of a single photograph. In the internet age, disappearing is harder than it has ever been. Every face is searchable. Every location can be tagged. Every photo uploaded to a foreign property website can be found by a grieving son on a quiet evening. But beyond the technology, the Darwin case is ultimately a story about the cost of deception, not to the state, not to the insurance companies, but to the people who love them without knowing the truth. 2 sons lost their father twice, once to the sea and once to the truth. That, perhaps, is the real story of the Canoe Man. Some questions never get answered. Some stories never fully close. But the sea off Seaton Carew carries no secrets anymore. It gave one up the day an empty canoe came ashore.